Hi friends, in this series of ECG basics, today I will talk about ECG changes in the settings of hyperkalemia. First is the disclaimer. Caring Talks YouTube channel does not provide medical advice. Information available on this channel does not offer diagnosis or advice regarding the treatment. Information provided by this channel is for educational purpose only and it should not be used as an alternative to healthcare professionals' diagnosis or treatment of any person or animal. Please seek the help of medical expert for diagnosis, prevention, and treatment of medical illnesses. There is no endorsement for any brand or a company. Hyperkalemia is a condition in which serum potassium level is above normal range, that is 5.5 milliequivalent per liter. It is a rare occurrence in normal individual because the cellular and urinary responses prevent the significant potassium accumulation in the extracellular fluid. ECG changes generally do not manifest until there is a moderate degree of hyperkalemia, that is, when the serum potassium is more than equal to 6 milliequivalent per liter. Only then the ECG changes are clinically significant or they are seen. The earliest manifestation of hyperkalemia is an increase in T wave amplitude in the ECG. The features of hyperkalemia which are seen in the ECG are peaked or tall T wave, P wave widening and flattening, PR prolongation, bradyarrhythmias like sinus bradycardia, high grade AV block with slow junctional and ventricular escape rhythm, slow atrial fibrillation, conduction blocks like bundle branch blocks, fascicular blocks, QRS widening with bizarre QRS morphology. With worsening hyperkalemia, when the serum potassium level they exceed more than 9 millimole or milliequivalent per liter, there is development of sine wave appearance in the ECG, that is a pre-terminal rhythm. Patient may have ventricular fibrillation, pulseless electrical activity with bizarre wide complex rhythm, asystole, and always remember that serum potassium level may not correlate closely with the ECG changes. Patient with a relatively normal ECG can have or can suffer sudden hyperkalemia and which can, and they can have sudden cardiac arrest also. In any patient who has suffered bradycardia, pulseless electrical activity arrest, we should always suspect and treat for hyperkalemia. So, for diagnosing hyperkalemia, the important things which we should see are elevated serum potassium level. We should always check the serum digoxin level if the patient is on any digoxin medication. We have to do arterial blood gas if we are suspecting acidosis. Serum creatinine phosphokinase and calcium measurements are necessary for rhabdomyolysis. Glucose level in patients with known or suspected diabetic patients. The ECG changes which can be seen at the various level of serum potassium are as when serum potassium level is 6 to 7 milliequivalent per liter, patient can have tall peaked T wave, short QT interval. When the serum potassium is between 7 to 8 milliequivalent per liter, there will be loss of P waves, widening of the QRS complexes. When the serum potassium is 8 to 10 milliequivalent per liter, the ECG may show sine wave or QRS widening that merges with the T waves, and more than 9 milliequivalent per liter serum potassium usually leads to ventricular tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation or atrial fibrillation, and cardiac arrest. What is pushed down, and pulled up illusion? Always remember that ECG changes in hyperkalemia they follow a logical order. That is, first the T wave will be affected. It will then affect the P wave and PR interval. And then the last affected are the QRS complexes. In hypokalemia, we see there is T wave flattening, and or we can say T wave inversion, or we can say ST depression and prominent U wave. Uh, this hypokalemia creates the illusion that T wave is pushed down with the resultant T wave flattening or inversion and ST depression and prominent U wave. But whereas in hyperkalemia, we see tall dented T wave, P wave flattening, PR prolongation, and QRS widening. Here we can see the T wave is pulled up, creating a T wave, dented T wave, and stretching the remaining ECG to cause P wave flattening and PR prolongation. The pathophysiology behind the hyperkalemia is, as we know, that potassium is a vital for regulation or regulating the normal electrical activity of the heart. Whenever there is increased extracellular potassium, it reduces the myocardial excitability with depression of both pacemaking and conducting tissues. Progressive worsening hyperkalemia leads to suppression of the impulse generating or impulse generation by the SA node and reduced conduction by the AV node and his Purkinje system. This results in bradycardia and conduction blocks and ultimately cardiac arrest. Depending upon the degree of hyperkalemia, we can categorize hyperkalemia as mild, moderate, and severe. Mild is when serum potassium is in between 5.3 or 5.5 to 6. Moderate is when it is serum potassium is between 6 to 6.9, and severe is when the serum potassium level more than equal to 7. So just remember that whenever a suspected hyperkalemia or whenever any patient comes to us in the emergency room with new onset bradyarrhythmia or AV block, especially patients with renal failure who are on hemodialysis or taking any medicine like ACE inhibitors, potassium sparing diuretics, and potassium supplements, we should always suspect hyperkalemia. The ECG in this picture displays many of the features of the hyperkalemia like prolonged PR interval, broad bizarre QRS complexes. We can see these QRS complexes, they merges with the both the preceding P wave and subsequent T wave, and we can also see peaked T waves, and this patient actually had serum potassium level of 9.3 milliequivalent per liter. In this ECG, we can see tall symmetrical peaked T waves, and this patient had a serum potassium of 7. This is another ECG pictures which show long PR segment, wide bizarre QRS in the patient of hyperkalemia. Here in this hyperkalemic ECG, patient has slow junctional rhythm, intraventricular conduction delay, and peaked T waves. Again, this ECG shows broad complexes rhythm with atypical LBB morphology. We can see left axis deviation, absent P waves. Here we can see sine wave appearance in severe hyperkalemic patients where the serum potassium level are usually more than 9 milliequivalent per liter. This is another ECG which shows huge peaked T waves, sine wave appearances, and this patient has a severe hyperkalemia secondary to rhabdomyolysis. Dr. Christiane Northrup has said, "Your body is your best guide. It quietly demands that you make changes in your life." With this, I conclude my today's topic. Thank you. Keep learning.